So we just said, you know what? We just saw this complicated landscape a decade ago with toxic cleaning products that are floating in the ocean, and we solved it with a simple solution. Well, now we've looked at a very complicated landscape and said, let's just solve it and pick a fight with these tech giants that are hurting real business, real small business, that are, stealing data and arbitraging consumers' data and this attack on free speech. And we've solved it, which is trulyfree.com. It's a fully decentralized social commerce platform, and we just launched it, and it's going bananas, and it's been a hell of a ride.
Welcome, affiliated listeners, to another episode of the Affiliated Podcast. But today, guys, this is a special one. And it's a special one not only because I will tell you, when I heard I know this individual for a while, but when I heard him talk about what we're going to be discussing today on stage at Smart Marketer Live, one, I've never seen a room of people, entrepreneurs, who, yes, they could be excited, but get excited and motivated in the same direction, as well as inspired after his talk. And I was one of those people, but I wasn't alone. It was an entire room of entrepreneurs. And so we have a podcast with entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and business owners. I tell you guys, we talk a lot about tactics. We talk a lot about strategies, but it's not very often we get to talk about a mission that we all need to rally around. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Well, still blending strategy and business into it, but also pairing it with a mission that we should all care about. And I guarantee after you hear the discussion and the movement, along with everything that's going along with this we'll call kind of, I don't want to even give it away, but everything that goes along with this movement, you are going to see why it's so important to not only be a part of it, to get it moving in the right direction, but also how it's going to really change your business. So I am so excited and lit up and just stoked for our conversation today. But before that, let me introduce my co-host, Thomas, who is currently in our brand new podcasting closet. Thomas, how is the closet and how are you doing today?
It's very cozy. I had to take off my coat because it's very warm in here, but it's a delight. And yeah, we need to figure out a better intro, Cal, because you always hype up the guests so much. And here's Thomas.
All right. Maybe I'll introduce you before I do the hype up, but we'll have to figure out some way.
No, when my wife was like, "Oh, you're chatting with them? Like, you need to get some more Dryer Angels." So shoot, we love the products. So
I do love the Dryer Angel. Yeah. I do love the Dryer Angel. We'll mention the Dryer Angel. But before that, let us please introduce our amazing guest. And somebody's going to be talking about something that is so impactful, and that's Stephen Ezell with the Truly Free Marketplace and Truly Free as a whole. Stephen, how are you doing today, man?
Guys, I'm fired up. Yeah, I'm doing great, doing amazing, super blessed, and really looking forward to this conversation.
And see, I channeled my inner backwards hat, which is really just hiding bad hair, and then the lighting makes me look suspicious if I go forward. But
I'm hiding
totally channeled this today.
I'm hiding no hair. You can cry me a river.
You know what's cool, man? You're just one trip away, and one trip to Turkey and 6 months of hat wearing to being right back to robust full head of hair.
Is that how that works?
Oh, right. That's what I hear, allegedly, right? So, well, beautiful, man. Well, really excited to talk to you today. And again, just like I said before, man, when you got up on stage at Smart Market, we're going to talk kind of about that conversation. I truly was blown away. It's not that often that you hear a lot of talks that get really blown away, not only by a unique idea, but I, again, say a movement. So before we jump into all what that is, we're going to do the origin story. I'd love if you kind of just tell the people a little bit about who you are and how you got here. So let's actually just dial it all the way back when what made you start this entrepreneurial journey. And then we'll just kind of explore what got you to, we'll even tease it, the Truly Free Marketplace and what that is and why everyone should be so excited, not just on this podcast, but I'm going to go as far to say anybody that loves free markets and doesn't like invasive governments, which I hope is everyone. Baby. Please raise your hand. Yeah. Woo. All right. So all you capitalist nerds, this is for you.
Yeah. So I guess I'll answer the first question with, it started when I was diagnosed at a very early age with a genetic abnormality. And after extensive testing and driving my mother crazy, I was diagnosed genetically unemployable. So I've been an entrepreneur really my whole life. And early in my career, I was in the restaurant business in New York City. I was very much an entrepreneur, and then went on to build either for myself or for others close to 50 restaurants in New York City.
Real fast, will you define entrepreneur? Because I think a lot of people might have heard that.
Yeah. So, and it's something that we talk about in our cultures often here at Truly Free. And that is someone that, see, an entrepreneur is the guy that takes all the risk, right? That's like the fall guy. If you're raising money, it's the person the investors call. If things go bad, it's the guy the bank calls. So this is the guy that takes, or the gal that takes all the risks, and really is the visionary and runs the business. And the forward face, the entrepreneur, who are really the unsung heroes of every business. And these are people that don't have, if the poop hits the fan, nobody calls them, but they literally take radical ownership for the company, for the business, and run it like it's their own and treat it like it's their own and come alongside the entrepreneur to grow and run the business. So that's what an entrepreneur is, and kind of an up and coming term. I didn't coin it. But it's really, to me, every vibrant, growing business needs a balance between, there's a great book, Barbarians to Bureaucrats. It needs the visionary, the prophet and the barbarian, but it really needs that synergist and people that are running and growing the business, and those who are the entrepreneurs. And knowing both of you guys for as long as I do, you guys are the embodiment of entrepreneurs, right? And what make ClickBank click. So
I know I came across that
it.
term a few years ago, and when I heard it, it really clicked with me hard. Like I remember I sort of driving, so I put on like a notes thing, sort of just, yes, this is what I resonate with, because I always get in my head about not being an entrepreneur while working with so many entrepreneurs. But when I heard the entrepreneur terminology, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel, right?
Yeah, I love that. Well, you get to be responsible for coining that term on this podcast. So if Dylan could input like a cha-ching sign, cha-ching, new coin termed. So you were the originator of entrepreneur on the affiliated podcast. Remember, in marketing, it's always about crafting how you win, not necessarily. You could always define a success if you're creative enough. Anyway, so
rules.
yeah, you've been an entrepreneur in the restaurant business for a long time.
Entrepreneur, then turned entrepreneur. In 2009, was heavily levered, growing a very big restaurant group, big corporate contracts. Banks went down. My contracts went from millions to like thousands, lost everything. And really just did some introspection. And my marriage was in a tough spot because the restaurant business is a really tough business for relationships. And we picked up sticks. We moved from New York City to Northern Michigan, and hit the reset button, started over, and really didn't know what I was going to do. Like, I was open-minded to anything. I just knew that I really didn't want to do restaurants. And at the time, being eco-minded was very, very present for me. Now we have 5 kids, but at the time I only had 1. And when my oldest son was a tiny little premature infant, within a couple weeks, I was in charge of one of his early first baths, and we got him undressed, and I was ready to give him a bath in the green tub that goes inside the sink. And as I'm getting his onesie off, and this dude is like screaming bloody murder, and I'm like, maybe he just pissed off, right? He's mad at me.
Yeah.
But when I got him undressed, it looked like I dunked him in boiling water. And I freaked out. I called my wife over. My wife's actually a NICU nurse. She's used to working with little babies, sick babies. And when I saw her freak out, then I was it. So we're straight to the pediatrician, dermatologist, on the way to the pharmacy to get this list of things for her and for him. My aunt, who's a very naturally minded person, who I always considered to be the weird one in the family, calls me up and says, "Hey, I heard what's going on with the baby. What, how's he doing?" And I'm like, "It's he's got this bloody rash, he's in a lot of pain." And she goes, and she asked me a question that changed my life. So, what are you using for laundry detergent? I'm like, listen, I'm not here to talk about laundry. I'm trying to get my kid well.
Yeah.
She goes, no, because all the store-bought detergents, they can actually make kids sick. You have allergic reactions. Now, mind it, I just came from a pediatrician and a dermatologist specializing in pediatrics, and neither of these bozos said anything about it. And I was like, are you serious? And she's, yeah, well, before you give Amy, my wife, these antibiotics, these steroids, and all these things, because she was breastfeeding, why don't you just do this? Throw her stuff in the bathtub, strip his clothes, gave me this homemade concoction. We did it, and rinse his clothes with it, the non-toxic of the day formula. And the next day he was fine. So I was like, oh my gosh. So if laundry detergent can make my kids sick, what else is there? So so now this is circa 2008 and 9, a full-blown eco-conspiracy theorist. Everything's trying to kill us. So we were green and eco way before it was cool. And, again, moved to Michigan, met this crazy grandma selling laundry soap at the farmer's market, looking for an investor. I wound up buying the company back in 2012. The majority of the company, we failed at everything we did in our early days, from retail. I've got so many stories to share, but like from retail to commercial cleaning products to, installing commercial washing machines on cruise ships and hospitals. Like we failed at, I tried and failed and sold at everything. And now it's fast forward to 2015. Now I'm, for the second time in my life, back on food stamps with my wife. Now I've got 3 kids, and I'm like, what's my next move? Other than getting that proverbial job job. And I felt like I should, like, I saw what was happening in e-commerce and the web, and I felt led to like build a website. So I started building a website, and I had no money, so I couldn't afford anybody. So I taught myself how to write a little code and write copy, and I took all these courses, and I just started from zero, right? And we're just about to launch this, do the launch. And I was curious how much it cost to ship our products, like 4 pounds, 50 ounces of laundry detergent around the country. So I grabbed a jug of soap and I went to the post office. I'm like, how much does it cost to ship this to San Diego or to Utah or Chicago, and went around all the major cities, and it averaged like $14 to ship
Oh, wow.
this laundry jug. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we're planning on an MSRP of 15. So before I'm like, well, this is the go out of business strategy. And I've already proven I know how to do that. So like, now what? So we pioneered. I asked some crazy questions like, why does it cost so much money? Well, it's the weight, and there's so much weight cost in the plastic. So I said, so we invented refillable cleaning products back in 14 and 15, and launched in the spring of 2015. We're coming up on a decade. The brand was called My Green Fills, like green refills. And we went to market, and I knew a little bit more about nothing about anything, and didn't, we were the first guy through the door. So we're trying to convince people you don't need a laundry jug but once. And what do you mean this non-toxic stuff? So our early days were like tough, right? Trying to like convince people to do something and hear something they never heard before. Now we're the cool kids, right? So we started off with, we still have, I have a museum here in our factory with, memorabilia, and we have the original concrete mixer from Harbor Freight. We used to mix soap. I used to, bring the orders to the post office in the back of the car. Now we fill tractor trailer loads every day, and vertically integrated, hundreds of employees, and one of the largest non-toxic chemical manufacturers in the country. And so we pivoted back in 19 from My Greenfields to Truly Free, because I believe we just represent more than just cleaning products. Even now with our new market, which we'll talk about, we represent a way of life, right? Because we believe that people should live a non-toxic life. We shouldn't be throwing plastic in the ocean. And now our greater calling, and I feel like my life's purpose and all of that e-commerce journey was part of my story, because I believe the world needs a free market, right? Where, great people get to connect, and free speech, and, where capitalism wins, and not this crony capitalism nonsense BS that we see today. Data, people's data, our data is being pirated. So we just said, you know what? We just saw this complicated landscape a decade ago with toxic cleaning products that are floating in the ocean, and we solved it with a simple solution. Well, now we've looked at a very complicated landscape and said, let's just solve it and pick a fight with these tech giants that are hurting real business, real small business, that are, stealing data and arbitraging consumers' data, and this attack on free speech. And we've solved it, which is trulyfree.com. It's a fully decentralized social commerce platform, and we just launched it, and it's going bananas, and it's been a hell of a ride. Here's my story.
Dude, what a freaking amazing story. Like, I can't wait for the book one day. I feel like it's going to be, we're in the process. You're experiencing the book right now, but man, it's going to be awesome when you get to sit down and write that whole thing. What a great journey. Thomas, before we kind of go in, because I want to talk a little bit more about the marketplace and a little bit about the problem that we're solving there. Before that, any questions or thoughts on, I have some too, but any follow-up you want to hear from Steven on that? Just rockin' journey, man. I'll say just so we could hear a quack for it, because that is a quack-worthy story.
Well, I don't know if we would go into it in this podcast, but I'm very curious on, I guess, I imagine when you were doing My Green Fills, when that was first taken off and that was getting traction, at what point did you feel like, okay, we've got something quote unquote stable. Like we've got something that I can really build upon from here, going from food stamps to let's triple down, double down, and keep doing this.
Yeah. So man, the early days, right? I think what shifted for me is, when um, one, it was hard in our early days to find product market fit, right? And our go to market strategy, because again, we first started, everything was about refill, not landfill, and save the polar bears, and it was about the environment, and it just didn't resonate with people. So that was a little over a year of that like refill, not landfill journey, and like subtext was like our stuff is like hyperallergenic and non toxic, and then when we just found that like that's really what we said, we're actually a health and wellness business, right? Like we don't sell refillable cleaning products, we sell peace of mind. And I think that was like one of our earlier inflection points when we re-identified that this is not a refillable cleaning company, right? Because, our dream customer, and we've got, almost a 500,000 of them now that we ship to all the time. She really doesn't care that much about the polar bears. I mean, she does, but she really doesn't lose sleep over the polar bears.
It's not her bleeding neck, right? She's looking at her kids and
Yeah, she's
her
a mama bear,
household. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a mama bear. She wants to protect her family. So when we said, you know what, we sell peace of mind, that when you're getting the kids dressed, when you're putting your head on your pillow, you're getting out of the shower, that you're just not rubbing toxic chemicals on your body. And we just sell there's so many people that are part of this health and wellness journey and lifestyle. Like we just want to like provide like one safe haven for her, just not to worry about this one aspect of her life and her parenting, and even dads too, right? Like I'm an eco dad. Like I just don't have to worry about this. Like, so now we can worry about what food or what supplements or what air quality, and that we can worry about that because but this one piece, we got it. And that's what Truly Free represents. And then when that happened, Thomas, there was a shift for me, coming up. And I know a lot of the marketers that are listening to this, we focus a lot on today cash, right? It's like traffic and conversions and offers and, get this out, or risk-free trials and all this stuff that we do to just try and, make payroll or grow a business or generate EBIT. And, and my paradigm completely shifted, right? So I'm like, no more trials, none of this risk stuff. Not that we were always white hat for sure, but like I'm going to just double down on what we sell, and that is peace of mind. We're going to be as transparent. We're going to scare people away from subscriptions. I mean, like we have a 5% churn rate max. Like if it hits over, if it goes over 5%, like there's alarm bells going off. Like right now in Q4, it's trending like a 3.2% churn rate. And that's not because we're not obviously not tricking people into subscriptions, right? It's because we do what we say what we do. And then what happened when we shifted the business, it also shifted my life, right? And it's always been a purpose, mission driven business. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build a legacy business and a movement. And this isn't a company, this is a movement. And then we started to scale. And COVID, the beginning of the pandemic, was unfortunate for lots of businesses and lots of people. It was a great opportunity for us, right? We made hand soap. It was a great time to make hand soap.
Didn't you?
Right?
I think I remember seeing a video you had posted where you're filling up people like in Michigan. You're in Michigan, right? And
You
you
have a
had people.
great memory, man. Oh my gosh.
People are driving up with jugs. You're letting them fill up hand soap in like your parking lot, basically.
You have a great memory. So yeah, right at the beginning of the whole fiasco, store shelves were like ravaged, right? You couldn't get toilet paper, cleaning products. Like everybody's like the end of the world is here. And people in our local community were just like not able to get simple things like hand soap or laundry soap because the store shelves were ravaged and supply chains were broken. And we were going like we were scaling with incredible velocity. At one point, we had 110,000 orders behind in shipping at one. Wow. And honestly, we kept hitting the gas and managed that. I don't know how many phone calls we made, and we really didn't have that many refunds. People like stuck with us anyway. But during the middle of all this craziness, I just felt like God told me to do this, and I called an executive meeting. I'm like, guys, I got an idea. And when everyone's like, oh no, here we go again. What's your idea? I'm like, we got to give soap away. He's like, Steven, we can't even keep up with our own orders right now. I'm like, I know. but we got to do something. So we called it Free Soap Fridays. We put a big, like, the big, like, Gaylord totes on pallet rack in our parking lot, put signs. It was like an amusement park where people would drive up. The only rule is that you had to bring your own container, and you would fill up laundry detergent or our laundry soap or hand soap, and you just fill it up and it was free. And we had
Oh,
a big
wow.
sign. It was like encouraging signs along the way because, we were all told, like, stay 6 feet away, and, everyone was trying to kill your grandmother. And I had like a big sign, and I used to stand there all day on Friday for 8 hours, and I'm like, free hugs available. And people were like, I'm not scared of you. God gave me an immune system. I feel it's really cool. So if you want a hug, like, let's do it. So it was really powerful. It was honestly, Thomas, it was one of the highlights of my career.
Oh, cool.
I
Yeah.
looked forward. So for a good 4 months, people, like, there were lines every Friday, and people were telling their friends and their family. We just actually had our Christmas party, a couple hundred employees, last Wednesday. And one of the servers at the restaurant was like, "Oh my gosh, you were the guy that gave me a hug during COVID." I'm like, it's like, seriously, it's so wild. So yeah, so that was Free Soap Fridays. It was awesome. It was a great way to give back to the community. That was fun.
Oh, thank you
That's
for sharing that. Yeah, I was really curious about that story behind that because that's just a cool initiative to take action on.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, especially at a time when there was a lot of contention to bring just pure love and positivity. Even if it's against, something that some people get
I
very
went against the
passionate about.
mandates.
I loved it. Yeah, I love it. You had a love date. That's good. I like it.
We did.
So now one other thing about I want to start moving talking about the truly free marketplace. So this is an amazing idea and we need to give it some time. If you could answer this relatively quickly, I'd love to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to scrap it. I'm going to ask you it later, or maybe if we ever have a future one, because I'm very curious about it, but it's a little bit off of everything else we want to talk about. So let's now move forward to the truly free marketplace. So you mentioned, similar to just what you talked about before with helping the community, you felt called to do something as an entrepreneur, and it had great effect. And gosh, you even still have those benefits echoing, whether it's in Thomas's memory or that server that you gave a hug to. So as you look at this next inspiration, talk me through, as you've kind of hinted and alluded to, what started to call to you to say, hey, it's not just about truly free products in your home. So you could have peace of mind in what you're cleaning your house with and clean your clothes with, all that stuff. But we need to have peace of mind as entrepreneurs, right? So walk me through a little bit about the truly free marketplace.
Yeah. So, again, coming up from nothing, and, we never, raised VC or, we've been a bootstrap business from the jump. We've done a couple small rounds, over the years, but nothing of significance. And so we've always been, like, again, a hand to mouth business, and grown, to, a truly free on the CPG business, truly free home, to well over 9 figures online. And along that journey, the game has changed. And I'm sure a lot of people listening right now that, are experienced marketers and affiliates and brand owners, like, the game has changed, right? Facebook ads are, monumentally more expensive than they used to be. The landscape of affiliate marketing has changed. Influencer marketing is now, like, picking up incredible momentum. Remember, like, free speech was a really cool idea once, and now we've got, like, Elon Musk, like, the Rocket Man is like the bastion of free speech. And you have so many friends, like, great, that I've had and still have, and great brands that you hear these stories about, how they, they build these businesses and they launch, their products on these big, kind of jungle river marketplaces. And, you spend a year to get to page one and get the buy button, until that very marketplace that you think is a great opportunity says, wow, what a cool category you're in, finds a manufacturer in China and runs you, pirates your data, steals your customers. You're now to page 14. And now that, private labeled direct sale product from that marketplace is now being sold to the customers that you proved was a viable market for that business. So we hear these stories over and over and over again. It's a jungle. And I just said, you know what? This is just freaking wrong, right? To see that some of these major tech companies have hundreds and hundreds of lobbyists in Washington, that our tax dollars are subsidizing, marketplace shipments for some of these companies. So it's like this isn't a free market where like the good guys win and the bad guys lose. This is crony capitalism. So I just looked at this really complicated landscape as I was coming up, and I said, man, I really wish one day somebody would create something that would level the playing field so that the good guys win and the bad guys lose. And nobody was doing it. So I said, well, then screw it. I'm going to do it. So 4 years in the making, right? Millions of dollars invested. We have no debt. We have no investors, right? I'm all in. And we've launched trulyfree.com. It's in trulyfreemarket.com. And it's a fully decentralized social commerce platform. So we looked at and glean the very best elements of all the major marketplaces, right? So, think about the Jungle River, Walmart, Etsy, Groupon, all these really great big marketplace. People get to list their products and sell stuff. And so, well, what if there was a way for a great business to acquire a customer and actually keep them and build a relationship and build lifetime value and resell other products, and again have this reciprocity where the customer feels safe that their payments and the shipment and the trust is there, and they can support the brands and that they want to support and vote wisely with their dollars, and they can have like a relationship. Well, how do you do that without handing out email addresses? So what came out of that was free social, and so we built a free speech decentralized social platform. So now, customer gets acquired and they get to stay on the list of the brand that acquired them. And the customer gets to follow creators and influencers and thought leaders and brands and their friends and build networks that are in alignment with their core values. So we took the very best elements then of all the major social media platforms, like Glean, like, hey, what do people really like on social? And then so we built a social platform. We're launching next week free speech, like free chat. We looked at these really cool like end-to-end encrypted messaging platforms, and we built a messaging piece of technology. So now not only is there a social list that a brand gets to acquire, they get to build a list and not worry. It's like, I wonder what my open rates on Gmail are going to be. I know it says 51%, but we all know that that's horse crap, right? Like we don't know what our open rates are. We'll never know again, right? But what if you could know how many people actually open your message and clicked and the revenue per message? And we can give you with complete transparency using self-sovereign identity, give you transparency into what your customers are actually doing and give you the ability to communicate. So we looked at and built our own affiliate attribution engine, right? So because no one ever did this before, so paying out affiliates 6 months on anything the person buys. So 6-month attribution, 1-year cookie, and then the affiliate and the influencer gets to build a list. They can remarket to them, whether through free chat or free social, right? So they can imagine watching a cooking show on your favorite home chef, and with one click, you can add all those ingredients to cart with one click. So that's like, we've just dreamt this thing up. No one ever did it. So we built it and we launched it this year. It's already done multi-7 figures in beta testing to our email list. We have a couple hundred or so really amazing small businesses and brands, 6,000 products. And now the push in, the beginning of 25 is like, we need to go make some noise and get, 5,000-10,000 brands on this marketplace next year and, make affiliates, a few $1 million next year. Like this is the new e-gold rush, guys. Like, and
what's it look like for like a brand who wants to be involved with this and want to put their products on the Truly Free market? Like, what's the simple version for me? Oh yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, before I actually just want to kind of, because we covered a lot of ground there, so I just want to kind of summarize. Then I think that's a great question to go into, because essentially, really what we're looking at here is we saw that where the idea is sold as a free marketplace on Amazon, that it's an open marketplace or lots of these open marketplaces. But as you said, the data and everything that's happening in the back end is not free. So really, I think that's where we could just take a moment and recognize all the entrepreneurs out there probably felt some form of this when you're trying to do business on these large platforms. So I just think what's really amazing is you got out, saw the problems, got that old concrete mixer out again, proverbially, and created the solution, right? You bootstrapped, did it yourself. And why that's so impactful, it's not some sort of venture capital funding and it's coming in there. You still own and control the message, the core, the message, the vision and the goal of the truly free marketplace. I think that's one thing. It's just, I really want to highlight how impactful that is, guys, for all the listeners out here, because you might find marketplaces, but they're still owned by the same people that own all the other stuff. It's all funneling back into the exact same system. So even if somebody says something, if they're going to an exit, if they're looking for funding, if they need that, at the end of the day, they're going to end up at the same destination, owned by the same people, even with different messaging. But what you've done without taking funding, building it all yourself, is it keeps and allows you to protect that core mission and build something that you want for people that think and believe in those free markets in a truly free capitalistic society and platform. So I think that's really, really powerful.
Amen.
Just to summarize that again. So with that, I think Thomas's question is fantastic. You're in this run-up period of like, hey, we need to start getting some people. So let's talk a little bit about that. And I think Thomas's question is great, is who are the right folks?
So I'll tell you who are the wrong folks. That's easier. Because again, this is a free market. We're product and brand agnostic. This isn't an organic marketplace where only eco-friendly products win. So we want a free market where people can vote with their dollars. So the hard nose of the types of products, brands that we don't allow on, anything in the adult, like porn world, anything that leads to slavery of children, not interested. Pharma, drugs, alcohol, guns, ammo, fireworks, CBD, none of the regulated stuff. So anything that's in the crazy world, we don't do crazy. The gray world, because there's a few gray areas for us, like high risk Nutra, right? The grow 6 inches overnight. We're not interested in those types of products. There's great businesses for them to sell their products on. And really like that Temu, Wish.com, like plastic made in China stuff, commoditized. Like, yes, you could buy a cell phone charger on Truly Free, but that doesn't mean that I want to have 700 variants of iPhone chargers. So that's it, right? So that's, other than that, like from health, wellness to sporting goods to whatever, like it's a free market, and we're accepting all great businesses on that want to build a relationship with their customer, that actually like value the idea of selling stuff, building a relationship with their customer, and reselling them more things, and vice versa. We built a digital currency called Talents, where a brand gets to actually reward. They don't have to discount and coupon. You can actually reward digital currency to the customer for purchasing your products and coming back and buying more. So we have a gamification side of it. This is the first business where we literally share in real time 1% of the gross sales of the company in real time with all customers via digital currency. So, that's how, and to get on, you go to trulyfreemarket.com, become a seller. We integrate with Shopify. We loosely integrate with Amazon, building tons more integration. So it's super easy to onboard, white glove service. And you get access to all these tools, 90 days free. It's a no-brainer.
That's awesome. That's true. So I want to break down a little bit more, because you'd mentioned, the big goal for this year is getting the affiliates and the brands to come onto the platform. So
Yep.
I'm just curious about what's that strategy look like for you guys right now? How are you going out and recruiting, getting the affiliates and the offer owners or brands on the platform?
We're pretty fortunate that on our Truly Free Home side, we have 1,500 affiliates and influencers that we've curated over the years. So starting in January, we're bringing all of our influencers and thought leaders over to start promoting products from the brands that are on the market. But we're also stood up a huge team, right? So we've been on a hiring spree for the last 3 months here, and so it's going to be a lot of outbound marketing, advertising, networks, trade shows, meeting with the big impact shows where great brands and creators are, and influencers and affiliates are. So we're taking very much a blitzkrieg approach to getting the word out there, and getting great brands and affiliates on board.
What's the secret sauce, Steve? Like, if I wanted to launch my product on Truly Free and be one of your top performing and really maximize this, like, what are those brands doing that you see? Like, okay, yeah, versus we see people going clickbank, they throw it up.
There's a few that are doing really, really well right now. One, if you look at, Amazon as a channel, if you look at your own .com as a channel, right? Think about your CAC and how much you're spending to acquire a customer, whether on Facebook or affiliate, even if it's on a blended basis, right? Say, well, here's how much margin I'm dishing off to acquire a customer. And here's my cost of goods sold. And here's how much margin it cost me to get the product. Here's like what my real operating margin is to the product. Let's say the product's $100. And let's say you're working on, if you're really doing a good job, 15% after everything, right? So you've got 85%. Let's just say on that 125 of its physical product, you got like $60 or so of margin that you're dishing off somewhere. You're dishing it off to an affiliate, you're dishing off to Facebook ads. So what the brands that are really crushing it right now on the market have taken an interesting look and said, you know what, instead of I'm not running Facebook ads to this, but I do have these affiliates and influencers that are in alignment with my values. I'm going to share that margin with them. I'm going to, instead of me at MSRP, I'm going to issue back 10, 15% back in talents. So I'm going to create an exciting, irresistible offer by giving a great deal to the customer. And I'm going to share whatever that margin call that I'm typically giving to Zuckerberg. I joke around like, if we all stopped buying Facebook ads tomorrow, Zuckerberg's kids are going to be just fine. Like, we don't need to donate any more money to their trust. Like, they're going to be just fine. We need to donate money to our kids' trust. So how that works is whatever margin that you're dishing off to acquire the customer on, let's say Facebook or Google, give it to the affiliates, right? Like, give it. And these are people that have trust, that they've got relationship, and pass that margin to that thought leader. It's way more engaged traffic. It always converts better, and it retains better because you have shared trust. And we've got a lot of affiliates and influencers that are on board already that are creating content and driving traffic. So those are the brands that are taking it serious. Like, this is early stage, right? Like, so, imagine being the first in on Amazon, or the first in on the first in on ClickBank, the first in, like, those are the ones that made history. The ones that are coming in now and taking our platform seriously are freaking doing great.
That's awesome. No, I love that too, especially the influencer side, because we've seen, I think one of the things, just to I think bolster why that's such an amazing focus point, is I think one thing that the last election told us was the shift from traditional media to new media, right? Which is representative of influencers, creators. Its creators represent truth, and traditional media is now more synonymous with lies than anything else. If you look at the grand scheme, in fact, I saw Pew Research did a study that almost 60% of conservatives do not consume any traditional media for the news. They go completely non-traditional as a way to find sources of truth. And so for those that kind of are even going through ads and other mediums, they'll look to scale. The true truth centers are not in those big mainstream sources anymore. I think it's where you find your influencers, creators, in non-traditional areas. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense to be moving into that realm. So, one thing I'm kind of thinking about here that might be interesting, just to give this a little bit more, to make it seem very live, right? How do you feel, Thomas? What if we kind of use a brand and a company that's on our platform that I know you've been very passionate about for a long time, with Etsy Wraps, which feels like a really good fit for the marketplace?
Yeah,
why don't you act like you're Etsy Wraps, and we could kind of have Steven talk a little bit to you, and we'll use some obviously fake numbers or whatever we need to, but kind of have a conversation like similar to how you would talk to a brand, Steven, about the truly free marketplace. Sure. And we'll let Thomas be that brand. So are you familiar with Etsy Wraps at all?
I'm not, but tell me more.
Well, great. I have a great guy to tell you. We'll say he's the owner of Etsy Wraps, even though it's not, but Thomas knows them well. So
no, if PJ watches this, I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to your brand, PJ. But no, basically, if you want to say goodbye to plastic, you'd come to Etsy Wraps, right? So if you use saran wrap to cover your food, you give it plastic into your food when you do that, all that kind of stuff. This is a beeswax canvas style wrap that is sticky.
Now I know exactly what we're talking about. Yep.
So you can cover your fruit, you can cover your stuff. Yep. Wrap it all up. We sell in different bundles. You can get the kind of starter packs, one set of three sets of 9, or 6 sets of 18 for a family, anywhere from, kind of $18 front end point to like $100 front end point, depending on which package you get. We also have cutlery, forks, kind of things like that, kind of bamboo forks, sustainable practices that kind of remove plastic from your food journey. That's outside of packaging.
Yep. So there's a couple of things that immediately jump to mind, PJ.
We'll call you TJ, TM.
TJ.
Yeah.
And that is this, that, one great story. The world needs less plastic. I've dedicated, now over a decade of my life to that mission. And there are literally dozens of other badass brands that are on Truly Free Market right now, none of which are doing what you're doing, all of which are potential synergy points for you. So now we can help you curate, right, thought leaders, influencers to create content we call off-prem, on-prem, off-prem, Instagram, YouTube, blog content, etc.
What is
So
prem?
like
Sorry, like the.
on-premise is our social
Oh,
media.
okay, yeah.
So on-premise would be Truly Free Social. Off-premise would be the other market, the other exchange, content exchanges. We're now imagine, again, we're watching a cooking show, right? Where there's this, amazing olive oil from Casandrinos cooked in this amazing plant, non-toxic, handmade, American-made pan that's on our marketplace, stored in. We have an awesome brand that sells mason jar accoutrement, right, for reusing mason jars. And now at the end of that amazing meal, and by the way, I have all these different great food companies too, and now that's getting wrapped with Etsy wraps, right? So now with one holistic piece of educational content about sustainable living, that thought leader now has 4 touch points in one place, and now that influencer has a store on Truly Free that he or she is driving traffic to say, here's all my faves. And if you want to see all the things that are in this video on Instagram, on a story, click the link, head over and get all these things. That video could also live native on Truly Free Social with one click, 4 sellers, 4 great products, one click, all things get added to cart. So now there's joint venture and growth opportunities for like-minded brands, like-hearted brands that are doing freaking good things to align. And it may be in the sporting goods category. It could be it doesn't matter, right? So this is just one example. So we help you acquire customers for a fraction of the cost. You get full control of your margin. There's no hidden fees. Everything's fully transparent. You get to build a list, another list that you could directly communicate to, whether through chat or whether through social. And all your orders pipe directly to Shopify. Easy to upload, download orders. We handle all the customer service. And this is a new place for you to build your business, right? ClickBank's an amazing ecosystem, right? And it's grown so many amazing businesses have grown from zero to hero using ClickBank. And we're not a competitor, right? We're a complementer to great businesses like ClickBank and Shopify, right? Like we're all just trying to help people vote wiser with their dollars, and we're a place where you can do it.
Yeah. Well, it's a different type of consumer too. So I think mission-oriented consumers aren't necessarily always impulsive consumers. They need a little bit more time. So I think a lot of the performance marketing isn't really for the consumers that would find themselves on Truly Free and the Truly Free marketplace, which I think is really, really amazing, right? And plus, gosh, the JV opportunities of what you described. Like, well, TJ, how does that sound to your business? Let's just ask that question for a second.
What fees we talking here? No. That sounds great, though. Yeah.
It's really simple. And,
Yeah.
we also have, a one-click upsell path, right? The first marketplace that actually has OTOs. So,
very cool. Yeah.
So now you have, you sell product A with your wrap, and then you have maybe a bundle that is of an unindexed, offer that nobody else gets to see except for your customer, and you get to sell them more things post-purchase. So again, I said, what if, being an e-commerce guy, like being a brand on the other side, like I built this, like if it was I dare you to say no, dream opportunity as a brand, and that's what we went and built.
Cool. Very cool.
The
and
fees.
The fees are a fraction of Amazon's. So where most people between FBA and PPC and their general fees are paying 30 to 70% out to Amazon. So our fees, if you get the product shipped within 24 hours, it's 13%. You get the product shipped in 2 to 3 days, it's 15%. If 4 days or more, then it's 17%. So
that's a cool incentive. Yeah,
hey, you do a good job for the customer, we'll take less money. Like we just want you and our customers to win. If you take the platform serious and get products out fast, like our fees are a fraction of Amazon's.
Yeah. The other fraction, a lot of things. That's definitely 30, less than 50% or more than 50% reduction is pretty impressive for sure.
Yep.
So that's awesome. That's amazing. Well, so TJ, how does this sound? Do Etsy Wraps feel like they're ready for this
Sign
kind of
me up.
collaboration?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
So no, that's amazing.
click the link, and our team will white glove serve you the whole way, and get you rocking.
That's beautiful, man. Well, I think again, this is just such a great thing and a great opportunity. Now, I'd say, and you kind of talked about this for right now, probably the quickest path or the easiest path, or for people that might be in that we'll call it the green sphere of the non-toxic, the peaceful mind of having a toxic-free home, but it's not limited to that. So it's just really about the first adopters, and there's going to be a big well as you guys are going out and pushing.
Yep.
So, I guess one of the biggest things then, so for those that are listening to this right now, I want you to think is we know what if the product or company is the right fit. Let me ask this: who is the right person? Because I think one thing that's important about Truly Free in our conversations is it's not just about a business owner that just wants money in business, right? I think at least early on, you also want people that are looking for a little bit more. So walk me through what you think the personality profile or maybe the belief system you would want to see as well, for people that would find a home at this Truly Free marketplace.
If you like questioning things and challenging conventional thought, I mean, to me, I love bullies. Bullies are my favorite, right? Like, I even coming up when I was a punk kid in the South Bronx, like, to me, I was the bully's bully. And if you want to be around a bunch of bullies that are just saying screw that to all these freaking tech giants that are squashing small business and real innovation and farming out our data and our small businesses to foreign adversaries, and you want to take a stand for like real values and build a real business and a real, like, following, like, this is where you're going to be home, right? Like, we're here to empower real small business, real brands that want to make a difference. If you really don't give a rip about customers and it's all about trickery and, number 3 font and risk-free trial and how do I scam person to rebuild 3, like, God bless you, good luck. Like, this is not the place for you. But if you like, hey, I want to build longevity, a real brand, real relationships, quite frankly, guys, there's no better place than what we've freaking architected. This is it. And for the first people in, this is the gold rush, are going to do really good. And some people now, it's like, man, I'm kicking myself in the ass for not buying Bitcoin when it was at $500. Well,
Yeah.
Some people are going to be kicking themselves in the butt for not getting in on this movement early too.
Love that. Thomas, any other questions that you have for Stephen?
Quite a few, but they start going down some different rabbit holes. So
yeah, I know. There's so many things I want to ask, but then I realize like we're getting to like now that some very specific stuff in terms of what you'd be doing for this. So, and we want to be respectful of your time because we really appreciate it. So here's what we're going to do. Because I think the powerful thing here is we put a message. Now there's a lot of details. I'm sure the audience, there's lots of questions that you might be having. And hopefully they're questions that are driven from excitement of the opportunity, the vision, and the mission that have been laid out here. So I think those are all very present things and real things that like I'm excited about. And that's where all my questions come from, is this place of excitement. So if you're in that same boat, good. I want you to take that excitement. I want you to listen to what Stephen's about to tell you next, which is how do you take that excitement and be a part of this, or at least get answers to those questions that are bubbling around in your head. So how could they reach out to you or to your team and learn more, or hopefully more importantly, be a part of the Truly Free marketplace?
Yeah. So it's simple. trulyfreemarket.com. Go to the bottom of the page. If you're an affiliate, click the link that says become a partner, and it's really easy. If you're a brand and a seller, you want to list products on our marketplace and build a list, click the link, become a seller, and we'll get you onboarded. We have a team that prides ourselves on unreasonable hospitality. So our team is going to go out of their way to serve you and make you win, because there's nobody that has a more vested interest in your success than this guy. I want you to win. I've got all the chips forward, and I believe in this more than anything in my life. I believe, up until this point, saving the world from toxic chemicals and, plastic pollution was my baby. It was, a mission, and obviously become a really, really great enterprise. but building a decentralized future, I believe, is what God put me here to do. So this is my calling. And, you know, I realize some big giants in this land, and I got a few rocks, and I'm not scared, and I'm going for it. And I want to be around great people that want to do big things. So trulyfreemarket.com, click the link and join the movement now.
All right, guys, get your slings ready. Let's follow David to go get some Goliaths in this tech business that creates toxic capitalism, which I know I am tired of as well. So amazing. Really, I cannot appreciate your time enough, Stephen. This was so cool. Thomas, any other final thoughts before we let Stephen go and hopefully see the swell of people that join the Truly Free Marketplace in this movement and take down these tech giants?
I was going to say, thanks for making us smarter on this, Stephen. I see a lot of friends brands on yourself already. So seems like you're making some great moves there. Happy to jam further on. I'm just glad that I'm aware of this now, so I can recommend more people over to y'all as we come across these people. So thank you.
Appreciate that more than you know, boys. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, man. Again, thank you so much for the time. Thank you, the listeners, for coming in and listening to this. Please rate, review, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when a new episode drops. You are never too late, whether it's on a free marketplace or just with the best things you need to know about the affiliate marketing world out there. And what do we tell the people, Thomas, as we are on our way out?
I usually tell them happy scaling, but maybe I should be telling them to truly free scale.
Yeah. There you go. It's happy, truly free scaling. So until then, be safe out there, and thanks so much.